I'm Shar Banerjee, and this is Books That Built Me. I'm an ex-executive turned to leadership coach specializing in people managers. My job is to get people out of that manager headspace and into their leadership growth space. Typically, I work with clients to build leadership DNA and self-leadership muscles in group programs or one-to-one coaching. But on this show, we dive deep into the stories of others. And it all starts with a book that they believe have fueled their passion, influenced their decisions, and now these book lessons are life lessons. Welcome to Books That Built Me. Today, I'm in conversation with Josi Dumont, and we are talking about the entire Harry Potter series. I have a confession to make. I am a Potterhead and cannot wait to dive into this cross-section of the magical universe of Harry Potter and leadership. I'm so glad you could join us. Here we go. Okay, Josi, welcome to this podcast. So everybody, Josi is a leadership and mindset coach who is joining me today because we originally connected on our love for Harry Potter and all things Harry Potter. And because, Josi, you're a leadership and mindset coach, we had this conversation of, well, what would a discussion around Harry Potter, like the entire set, the series, the stories, all of that, under the lens of a leadership framework, what would that conversation feel like? And instantly, you and I both got so excited, and we wanted to start talking about it right away. and we decided to hold our horses until we hit record. So here we are. Welcome, Josi, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation. I can't wait. It's my favorite topic.
Oh, good. Me too. Okay. So I wanted to do things a little bit differently. So what I've actually done is I prepared a few questions. Like, instead of keeping it to, well, what are your thoughts and all this stuff, I thought it would be kind of cool to have some creative, open questions that we can kind of just use as springboard to dive into some interesting topics. And so if you're cool with it, that's how I'm gonna run this episode, is like question and like popcorn answers, and like, let's just get into it.
Yes, that sounds good to me. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Okay, so let's kick it off with the Hogwarts Express. So here's the question. Imagine the Hogwarts Express as a metaphor for the leadership journey that these kids are going through. What do you think about the interactions and the dynamics amongst the students during that train ride to their school? And how does that, you think, reflect the broader leadership principles in the Muggle universe?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I need to think on that one.
And just a heads up, I did not think, I just kind of looked around for some questions and then I decided not to think about it either, so that we could just like get into it.
Yes, let's do it. Well, one thing that immediately jumps up to me though is obviously it's a journey. It's not just something that happens overnight. It's a process that gets you from A to B. And during that journey, obviously in the books, like loads is happening. It's in the different books as well. It's not just, they're sitting there and waiting. No, there's like some Dementors are coming in, and there's some danger, or they meet new people. They meet Luna, they meet Lupin. There were new people coming in on that journey, or also when Harry's like trying to figure out something with Draco, right? He's going to their apartment using his invisibility cloak. So there are all these elements on that journey that kind of make it different, a bit more exciting. Like, you're getting to that end goal of Hogwarts.
You're getting there, right? It's like there's a start point because you say goodbye to your parents. The doors are shut, and there's almost this race to get in before the doors close. And then the next time that the doors will open, it will be at your destination. So there's confidence and clarity on where you're going to end up. And I love how you said, well, during the journey, there's a ton of evolution that's happening. Okay, the other thing that came to mind is you said, it's not just sitting and you're waiting. I also am struck by where you sit matters. Because in the first book, right, the first book where he feels so alone and not sure of himself, not sure of the surroundings of the new universe, and he decides to sit in the first empty compartment. And I think even at that very beginning, it's like the decision of where you sit Do you think that matters somehow in the Muggle universe of like what leadership stands for?
Yes, I feel like it does because you want to be, well, okay, let's take it out of the concept real quick of just sitting alone because it does matter where you are. And if you feel like you're not valued in a space, then you're at the then you're at the wrong place. You want to be in a space where you're valued, where you can have the impact as a leader, where you can thrive and evolve, but also where you're then surrounded by the right people. And obviously, when we bring it back into the Harry Potter context, Ron comes in and they are like developing this beautiful friendship and they are literally going through thick and thin. Then Hermione comes in as well. Obviously, first she's a bit more like controlling, but at the same time, like this is the initial like connection of the true like dream team who are going through thick and thin together. And I feel like that's so important in the leadership space as well, right?
I gotta
to
say
have
too, like,
this team around you.
Yeah. I gotta say though that belonging builds over time. In this little, space, this room that they've picked, like belonging starts to build with some time, but that you sit with the discomfort of being alone and you're okay with sitting in that discomfort, I think is also what needs to be sort of called out here, because it's easy to go into spaces where you're going to be wildly accepted. It's easy to just be with your friends, as we all know, like that we crave how easy it is, we crave the fun and the excitement and all of that, but it is also essential to sit in the discomfort, especially if you don't belong, and not obviously be bound by that discomfort, but sit in it knowing that this too shall pass, which I would say it certainly did. Certainly
Yes. Did. I love that. I love that you say that because I feel like leadership, but also entrepreneurship, right? In the beginning, you are alone. You have to embrace this discomfort and that fear of like maybe not belonging, not being accepted.
Yeah.
But then as you go along on this journey, like more and more people are joining and you form like those incredible bonds and friendships.
Yeah. And there's people who are feeding you, right? Like that witch with her trolley and the snacks.
Oh my gosh, yes, pumpkin pasties.
Yeah. So what's that? Like, what's that about? The fact that you can buy a little bit of, a few treats for yourself or some sugary goodness for your belly. Like, what part does that have to play? Or maybe now I'm reading too much into it.
No, I feel like actually you're onto something because I feel like that part is more around the nourishment also for your soul, to enjoy the journey. Because like otherwise, like Ron, he has like, obviously he has that, like, I don't even know what it is in the movies. It's like this grubby little sandwich.
Yeah.
Yes. But to have like those other treats, like they make this journey like so much more fun and like exciting, like with the chocolate frog and stuff. So that does play a big role, because if you feel miserable on this journey, like why are you even on it?
Right. Oh, and I love that you talked about the sandwich, because Ron had nourishment, right? If he ate the sandwich, he would have the calories, it would fill his belly. But it's not actually about the nourishment. It's about what you want to feed your soul and what will help you make some of those connections. And so it goes beyond filling the belly to like filling up the soul of you in the journey, the joy of that enjoyment.
Yes, exactly. And that's like soul and heart food that you need.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point too, right? Like we're talking about the first book, but so much happens in the second, third, and towards the end when the last train ride that they take is a very dramatic one, where, Harry goes and uses his invisibility cloak and is in Draco Malfoy's chambers, there to eavesdrop because he's got this hunch that something awful is happening. And then he's stuck there because he gets trapped and frozen, and there's this moment of shame and humiliation as he disembarks the train because someone had to come save him. And then there are moments where the train stops in the middle of the journey because there are dementors who come and violate that safe space. There aren't teachers there. There was not a single teacher there except one, and that was the introduction of the first teacher who took the ride with them. And so that's also, like, even as I say that, man, there were no teachers on that. train.
Yes.
And like, if Lupin wasn't there, who's going to protect them? They know no magic. They're not allowed to perform magic.
Yeah, they don't know how to do a Patronus. Like, they would have just been, like, sucked out of all the happiness and be, like, consciousness on the train. Like, imagine the train, like, landing in Hogsmeade, right? And they come in and check, and all the students are passed out.
Like, story over, right? Like, what story do you have?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah, maybe the point here is don't stop in the middle of the journey. Like, if you've decided on your destination, keep going.
Yes, but I feel like also it might show that sometimes help and support is needed. And so, like, necessary for you to be able to continue the journey. And it's okay to have that help. It's not just Lupin, it's obviously also Luna who helps Harry to, like, get out of the charm that Draco puts on him, right? So that's also so crucial.
I mean, even if you think about it, Neville in book 1 played that annoying kid who was like, oh, where's my toad? Where's my toad? I've lost my toad. But that was essential because when Hermione got into her character of helper, and she was so focused on helping Neville find his toad, that was the essential bond that needed to form because, as you know, Neville is an essential character without whom we wouldn't have a conclusion to Harry Potter. Like, he was essential. And it's so validating to even know that simple thing of I've lost my frog, who's going to help me find my frog? Oh no. Actually was essential in the building of trust along the way.
Yes. I love that you said that. And Neville is one of my favorite characters. Like, he is so underrated most of the time, but his development throughout the story and his underlying, like, significance in the story as well, but because he could have been Harry Potter. It was the choice between Neville or Harry. And that's huge. It could have changed everything, right?
Yeah.
And his, like, development and evolution throughout the story, like, he evolves from this forgettable, like, boy who loses everything to the only one who speaks up in front of Voldemort and says, no, I'm not gonna join you. Yeah. We will keep fighting. Like, the bravery is crazy.
In an alternate universe, if they picked Neville over Harry, do you think that you would have seen that character pop up sooner than the forgettable kid losing his stuff all the time?
That's a good question.
It's a side question.
Yeah. I wonder. I wonder if you... I don't think so, actually.
You know, what I'm wondering about is the element of pressure in the creation of your identity. Because that's what's coming to mind, right? Like, Harry knew nothing about the magical world. You know, he sure had a talent for flying. That was his innate talent, passed on by his dad. But he had to learn absolutely everything. And the pressure from Dumbledore, from the stories, from the prophecy, all of that pressure built the character that, you know, saved the day, obviously, with tons of help and resources. And I just can't help but wonder that if you take a boy who is forgetful, not good at spells, you know, kind of like messes everything up. His only talent is in herbology, and that's his passion, plants. You know, even if you take a character like that and you place the same pressure, like I'm picturing Dumbledore having lessons with him, the pressure of the prophecy, you know, and so is there potential for Neville to have really just, could we have, you know, right-click, delete Harry Potter and replace Neville Longbottom, knowing that he would have the same outcome and destiny because of that pressure?
I think he would have he would have had the same kind of like success or like story, because he in his own ways, he still experienced like the hardship growing up with his grandma, having his parents being tortured and in the hospital. Like, it's not like he had an easy life or anything. No. And he had to navigate through all of that with being a bit more like forgetful and losing stuff all the time. But that's just one part of his story. Like, maybe he's not as talented at first with charms, But once he got into like training with Harry, right, in the fifth book.
Yes.
Or was it
Dumbledore's
was
Army?
the fifth book. Exactly,
Dumbledore's Army. Yes.
He got really good, and he then also took on like a co-lead role of Dumbledore's Army in the sixth and seventh book, because he kind of like took over. So he grew basically in the background until his big moment to shine when he like stood up. So I feel like the story wouldn't have been that different. It would have just been like some slight different developments that you would see more in like the foreground of really a boy who was first struggling, but just finding his way through it, and then in the end still thriving and being obviously also in his preferred kind of space. Like he is doing what is in his zone of genius, herbology.
Yes. You know, what's coming to mind is a recent experience I had, and it's led to this thought right now of what does it feel like, and what does that result in you when you are placed at an expectation to perform at a higher standard than you would have normally given to yourself. And I called on pressure previously, but I feel like I just want to say it again. Like, when you have the expectation that yes, you can at this higher level, and other people are holding you to that possibility and promise that you have got it, and they hold the confidence while, you know, you occupy more of the doubt and the questioning, what that does for, you know, a wizard and a monk.
Yes. But it elevates you, right? It elevates you. If it's done in the right way, it elevates you because it pushes you gently like into the stretch zone, not the panic zone, but the stretch zone where you can grow. But if it's done like the wrong way, and if you take it too personal, for example, you might also shrink and you might literally crumble underneath all of that pressure. So it needs to be done like the right way. So it's more like empowering rather than you have to do this. And if it's not like aligned also with like your intrinsic motivation or your why, you'll be like, heck no, I don't want to do this. Like, you might be rebellious. Yes.
That's essential, what you just said, that it's got to align to the why. Because if you think about Draco Malfoy in the last book, he was held to the standard of murder and deceit. And, you know, he was expected to do that by Voldemort. I almost feel weird to say his name out loud, because this is a recorded conversation, and I feel like I should call him he who should not be named. But you know what? It's cool. I'm going to call him Voldemort.
Be brave.
He was held, I will be brave. But he was held to that high standard of like, you're going to murder Dumbledore. You're going to, you know, get on my side in order to take over Harry Potter. However, the why for him was not clear. And you could see him falling short on achieving his purpose because he didn't buy in. I mean, maybe he denied being bought in, but towards the end, he, I think, finally allowed himself to make a choice that was solely his own. Ooh, we can even talk about choice next, actually.
Oh, yes. But yeah, that's such, like the point on Draco you just made is such an important one, because he failed basically at this task of like killing Dumbledore, right? Because he didn't want to do it. It was not his intrinsic motivation. He actually did care about Dumbledore. And deep inside, he also cared about Harry, even though he was mean and everything. But that was because it was all imposed onto him. And in the end, also in the movies, I feel like they captured it quite nicely when they walk away and he can kind of like finally like breathe and just be without all of that pressure.
Yeah. All of that was from my first question. Like all of those conversations and the side avenues we took were all from the first question. Crazy. This is going to be so much fun. Let's move on to the second question that I have here. Okay, so reflecting on the role of magical artifacts like the Sorting Hat or the Marauder's Map or the Elder Wand or things similar of that nature, like magical things, artifacts. How do you think these objects influence leadership decisions and outcomes throughout the series?
So I have to definitely dive into the Marauder's Map because, so how you open it, right? You say, I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. And it starts with that one. I have that as a tattoo. because I love it so much. So it's literally on my rib cage. Yes.
Stop. That's amazing. So what does it mean to you, that sentence, that welcoming? Yeah. What is that for you?
So for me, it means that right now I'm up to no good. I am up to what I want to do. I'm up to doing things my way. That's what it means to me. Because as soon as I open this map, I can go anywhere. I can find my path. I know what's around me. And I can just like navigate through this realm wherever and however I want. And that's, for me personally, it's so, so crucial, because my most important values are freedom, authenticity, and then having an impact. Obviously, in the Marauders map, you would do some mischief. I'm not up to mischief, but I'm up to my mischief, right? Like the impact I want to have on this world. And as you close it, you say, mischief managed. So my goal is, whenever I'm old and like wrinkly and stuff, I want to have mischief managed underneath. So before I die, I will have that to close the map.
Okay, I'm having a moment of deep jealousy, like deep green envy, because I consider myself a huge Harry Potter nerd, and I am now having so much like FOMO that I don't have a tattoo on my ribcage with this phrase. That is genius. And I love the plan. I love the plan of old lady Josie.
Yes.
That gets a tattoo that says mischief managed. Yes.
Exactly.
I am
I
as
just love
green
it.
as the shirt I am wearing right now.
I was just about to say, like, it's green. I love it.
Absolutely brilliant. That the invitation to open up the map itself is a leadership commitment.
Yes.
That I am doing things my way, and that's the commitment that I go into it before I get to see multiple perspectives and dimensions. And I think there's also this unspoken thing of choice in the Marauders map, because once you're done with it and you close it, you've made your choice based on what you've seen.
Yes.
And we keep circling around choice. Like the last question, we also landed on choice, and here we are at choice again. Let's dive into choice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the power of choice in this entire series. Yeah.
I'm thinking right now what would be
I don't even know
best example.
which one to pick. Yes. Yeah. You know
okay,
what's
maybe
coming?
choice. Okay.
Go for it. Go.
Choice. Literally Dobby.
Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Yes.
Because, like, I have to say, we talked about this, right, when we first chatted about it. But Dobby, for me, is the ultimate leader, authentic leader in the Harry Potter series. Because he, even though he is in this agreement, in this contract with the Malfoy family, he makes the choice to rebel against and stand up for what he believes in. He believes in Harry Potter. He believes that Harry Potter is the one who will save them. So he wants to save Harry Potter, and he goes to him, and in the danger of like being punished for going there, right? So there's a huge risk that he's taking. He's a risk taker, but he made the choice anyway because he believes in it. But then also, obviously, as soon as he's set free, he's a free elf. And the choices he then makes are so selfless, so much full of like love and care for others, but also still living up to his huge value of freedom. Like he literally is a free elf, and he embraces who he is. Like when Harry sees him again and he's like covered in all of those different clothing items, and he made the choice to work for Hogwarts, but he also made the choice to ask to be fairly compensated. Like these are all choices that led to him being happy and fulfilled. And that's just...
There was a part even that he said, I asked, Dumbledore offered me 10, I don't know, what, galleons a month or something.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, no, that's too much. I just want one. And even in that, like he's revealed that the power comes from asking. He chooses to ask. He chooses to continuously fight for equal value, fight for equality, because that was the thing that was denied for him for so long. And while there's so many other house elves who don't see that as being a problem, like, that's the way it's always been. That's my job. That's the generation. That's
how dare
those are the species.
Like
Yeah, how could you? And so I feel that even in the asking of it to someone he respects, shows so brilliantly that, you know, he doesn't want to stray too far away from what it means to be a house elf and to come from that lineage, but that he just wants a seat at the table, to have a voice that counts.
Absolutely. And he does it so brilliantly and like so... I don't think he's not scared. He obviously is.
No.
He puts some thought behind it, but he still does it like so authentically, so true to himself.
Yeah.
And as he goes through the story, it's just... He's literally one of my favorite characters. He's such an inspiration for true, authentic leadership. And as you say, like, if you don't ask, you don't receive. That's literally also like a rule I have here on my many post-its on my wall.
Do you? Yeah. I mean, that's very true. It's very Dobby-like. If you don't ask, you will not receive.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the most devastating moments in the series when he takes a dagger for Harry.
I cried my eyes out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I still cry when I watch the movies for like the X time.
I'm feeling the emotion arise as I imagine that section in the book. Like, that can't be happening, and it's happening right now. The best character in the book is being written off.
That was so heartbreaking.
You know, the parts of him that also embody, you know, you talked about authenticity, but the parts of him that also embody like this really fun version of a leader that, you know, you don't, like in the Muggle universe, I don't see Dobby wearing a suit. I see Dobby as that like extremely playful, let's say he was the CEO of a company, Dobby, I would see him as the most playful, joyful human who leads with purpose and clarity and inclusion. He uplifts, he questions as well, right? There's this version of him that's like, why do we have to do it that way? Why should Harry Potter be going to school if I know it's going to be dangerous? And so I love that. I mean, he does it in a weird way, but whatever. That he acts on his own intuition and questions, clarifies, includes, involves people. Oh man, that is just such, like, I see his office being full of toys.
Yes.
You know? I see
like
him
funny things.
Yes, funny things in his
like
office.
quirky things. Yeah. Like just some, like I just remember the scene where he was like jumping on Harry's bed, right? Like he's in the moment and present, and he's so joyful when he's just like having fun, and it's just, like his office would be literally like a playground. But a safe playground. And at the same time, it would be empowering too. And because he's dedicated, right? He's dedicated to what he chooses to do. Yeah. And he's going for it.
Yeah. You know, there's this thing about like safety being an illusion, you know, which I think there's like, that's an interesting topic we could get into. But there's also this thing about safety being an illusion. And I think he knows that. He knows that it's an illusion because he's been repressed, made to be a slave essentially, but yet he's quote unquote safe. He's got food on the table, he's got a roof over his head, he's got the ability to survive, but by no means does he feel safe. I wanted to also bring up this other scene. I say scene because in my mind it's a movie as I read this book. I'm like picturing it all. But in the kitchen, do you remember the scene in the kitchen, the moment where both Hermione, or all of Hermione, Ron, and Harry find their way into the kitchens, and all of these house elves have are covering the Wendy. Is that the name? Winky. Sorry, who are covering up Winky because Winky's had one too many butterbeers, and she's, you know, very messy and all this stuff, and they try so hard. The other house elves try so hard to cover up Winky and provide food and whatever offers to, you know, Ron, Hermione, and Harry. But that's not what Dobby does. Dobby on the other end is like, Winky, you should be enjoying yourself. You're free. Who needs them? Like, he is giving her a validation and a why and a cause that obviously he believes in. But it was interesting to me to see how other elves behave versus how he chose to behave.
Yes. It's a very stark contrast, isn't it? Because they are like so... They're holding on to like their rules and the traditions and how things have been done all the time. And then they see Dobby, who's an outlier, who's breaking out of the system, who like breaks and challenges the status quo, and he's like, no, look, I can be so happy.
Yeah.
It's such a stark contrast, but it's
so
beautiful.
Happy. That's his motto, actually. Look, I can be so happy.
Yes.
He's the best.
He is.
The best.
He honestly is.
Ready for third question?
Go for it.
Okay, so here's the question. So how might the concept of wand lore being the unique connection that a wizard has with his or her wand. So how might the concept of wand lore be analogous to the relationship between a leader and their tools or resources in the Muggle world?
Ooh. I feel like it needs to resonate. Like, resonance is the key word here, right?
Yes.
Because there is this resonance between the wand and the leader, and it works. The leader doesn't work with every tool or every wand that is out there. It's this one specific one. And especially nowadays, when there's like so much stuff around us that we could work with, try and do, we should only actually go for that one that resonates, that feels like this is working well for me.
Sparks,
and not like,
right?
Yeah, it sparks. Like, there is something, okay, cool, I love this tool, I stick with it. Or this, it could also be a team, right?
Yeah.
Where you like really have this resonance with, or a colleague, or it could be your manager, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you don't feel that resonance, then something needs to be changing.
Yes. Okay. So Ollivander talks about this, or he doesn't actually talk about it. He shows it. And when you're coming in to buy your wand for the first time, it does not matter to him how inconvenient the journey is for him, because his destiny is to live in the land of Wandlore. He cares deeply about the connection a wizard feels with their instrument, because that, to your point, that spark is the most important connection that a wizard can have, because of his or her impact in the wizarding community. And so as I think about this, and you talk about, what could our wands be? Is it a team? Is it a person? Is it a tool? Whatever it is, I think the bottom line is that you need to be open to the sparking effect. Like, you need to be energetically aware of where the sparks are and lean more into sparky environment.
Intuition.
For you.
It's your intuition.
Yeah, intuition.
Yes. Yes, because we have been taught to like think logically through everything. But our mind, like this area, is not the only part of our body that can give us information. It's this part
below
too.
the neck. Yes, below the neck. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
That's your heart center. It's your gut, and they are telling you something all the time, every day. And I would say also in my life, the most powerful and the most impactful decisions I've ever made came from intuition. They didn't come from just thinking through it logically. They came from what feels right.
What resonated.
Right. Yes.
What feels right. And you can get pretty heady about that, to be like, well, why did it feel right? What?
Yeah.
Maybe that was the reason. But it's like, what if you just didn't worry about the heady stuff? And
exactly. What if you just ignore that for a while? Yeah, just do
forever,
that if it feels
right?
good.
Like, ignore it forever. Like, what if you don't have to rationalize everything, every sensation?
Imagine the headache you could save yourself.
Honest to God, I was just thinking about all the headaches that I get from overthinking.
Yes. Or like the 3 a.m. thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel the other thing that you said too is so valid about, the possibilities that we have in today's day and age are endless. We have so much choice around what we're picking or what we could pick, and it's almost like analysis paralysis. Like if you just get yourself lost in, I need to understand every single tool and every single resource before I make my decision. Okay, yes, and that's really going to just not necessarily get you to that magical space. So for me, it's almost like if you get a hint of a spark, you can let it build over time. Right?
Yes.
But when the fit is not there, you will feel it. Because in going back to Harry Potter and that land of magic, when the wand, because they say often, right? Like the wand chooses the wizard.
Yes, it
The
does.
wand chooses the wizard. And they say like when the fit isn't there, the magic is subpar.
Do you know what that just reminded me of? What if the
What?
wand is your purpose? What you're meant to do? And if it's
Damn,
not
that's
right,
so good.
then it doesn't fit and it doesn't feel right, and you can't
Yeah.
live up to your full potential and unlock all your
Yeah.
potential because you have the wrong wand. You took on the
Yeah.
wrong purpose because it wasn't truly aligned to you. But if you have the right one, then literally magic happens in like its utmost potential.
I'm going to add to this. I love that you brought in purpose, and I couldn't help but also think about your partner. Like, what if your wand is your partner?
Yes.
And the sparks, kind of make sense from that perspective too. But purpose,
Absolutely.
partner, team, mentor,
goals
all the
as
choices.
well.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could talk about this for hours and hours and hours.
Yes, there's too much to unpack.
There's so much to unpack here. And maybe we have to do a follow-up episode because this was just too much fun.
I agree. Like, I even took like some notes where I was like, okay, these are some leadership lessons I took out of Harry Potter, and it was like writing all of it down. So I'm all up for that follow up on.
Let's do that then, because I started with some creative questions and it was kind of fun to dive into them with you. But let's close with some of the leadership lessons that you reflected on, in preparation for this conversation with me. And I would just love to hear them. What's on your mind?
Okay, I feel like the last one should be about a person. And it's not Harry. It's Luna Lovegood. Because she is being described as the ultimate nonconformist. She is just quirky. She is so authentic. She's very honest and she's very blunt, but still so caring and understanding. And she provides this different level of leadership that is listening, it's being there. Like, she is kind of like the only one you really see who is calming Harry down after he lost Sirius. She holds his hand, for example, in the movie, and she's like, it's okay. Because she knows his pain, she understands his pain. And I feel like she's kind of like this like representation of how you can also include emotions in your leadership style, rather than just saying emotions make for a bad CEO. That's literally something I heard the other day and it made me angry, because it's not true. Emotions can tell you so much, and they can build this connection with others that can be so powerful. So I feel like Luna carries, or it's literally the embodiment of a very important leadership lesson.
What I think I appreciate the most about Luna is her bluntness. That she can just be so blunt and forthright with her thoughts and opinions. And, where it would just cause somebody to pause and maybe dive into shame or embarrassment. She doesn't do that. There was this moment in the book where she was like, oh, is this what it's like to have friends? And I don't have many friends, so I don't actually know. And I remember in the book, Ron was like, "Oh my God, well, who would say that out loud?" Because he's such a lovable character, and everybody loves him, and he knows to be like the life of the party, and that's his superpower, I would say. And so, the thing I love the most about Luna is that she doesn't mind breaking social convention, and she doesn't care for standing up to or standing for societal norms. I love the questioner in Luna. I love that she's like, why should I care about what you think about this weird magazine that I have to read upside down with these funky looking glasses?
Yes.
I don't care what you think about my earrings. I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry that it inconveniences you. That's on you to
Exactly.
manage. I'm
this is
do
just who I am.
Yes. Who I am.
She's just embracing herself.
Yeah. It's who I am. And if you have a problem with that, that's your problem. And we don't have to engage. That's the wildest, most coolest part about Luna. In a world where everybody wants to belong, especially at that age, right? That age of wanting to fit in and wanting to blend in and change who you are. Like, you don't really care about being a mosaic. You want to be more of a melting pot. Like, you want to just, dim down the weird so that you can fit. She doesn't care for that. And that is my favorite thing about her.
Yeah, she's just fully embracing the weirdness, the quirkiness, and just being herself. It's so amazing. It really is. I love Luna.
So I know you have a tattoo on your ribcage. Now we all know that. So that's out in the world. Do you have any other Harry Potter related body reminders, I should say? And you don't have to give it away as to what it was. You do? Okay. And on that, we're going to leave that as a cliffhanger, because Josie, we've got to bring you back for another conversation on this whole Harry Potter thing. And then I would love to know and reveal to the world.
Yes, I can share then like what maybe this one here means.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Is that a snake on your... Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah. We'll and there's another one too. So there's two more Harry Potter inspired tattoos.
So then it's done. We have to bring you back.
Yes.
Thank you, Josie. This was such a fun-filled conversation, exploration around topics that you and I care deeply about through the perspective of a story that we have loved being involved in. Such a fun cross-section. Thank you for joining me.
No, thank you so much for having me. This was literally one of the most fun conversations I've ever had, combining Harry Potter and leadership. Like, what? It couldn't get any better, could it?
We'll see. We'll be talking to you soon, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And that's it for this episode of Books That Built Me. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave us a review. It truly helps support and grow what we're doing here. Thanks for listening, and you can always find me on my LinkedIn at Shar Banerjee. If you're dealing with a leadership challenge, I would love to hear from you and have you join our community. And of course, we'll talk soon, next Tuesday, on a brand new episode of Books That Built Me.